Hi guys, welcome to the Full Circle Fitness June Fitness Reboot. I hope you're doing well and you're all fired up to see some big changes throughout the month of June. If you are finding that you're struggling to get your shit together outside of the gym, you're training really well, or even you might find that training is becoming a bit of a chore, then you're in the right place, because we're definitely going to be able to help you out throughout the month of June. So let me take you through as briefly as I can through the June Fitness Reboot, what it is, how it's going to look, and what you guys can expect to see off the back of it. So firstly, why would we bother doing something like this? Surely just going to the gym and training alone is going to be enough to get you the results you're after. Well, actually the answer is no. As I'm sure you already know, just going to the gym and training is only a part of the jigsaw. So what we've found over the years of coaching people is that actually what happens outside of the gym is where most people, I would say, struggle. So we're talking, mindset, nutrition, just lifestyle in general, trying to get that right to help you to support the great training you're doing in the gym and to get the results that you're looking for out of your training. So guys, if you're looking to take your training or your results from training to the next level, then this is really why you should be interested in the reboot. How does it work in terms of what happens hopefully after this presentation? If we've done a good job and you feel inspired and you want to jump on one of the 3 plans that we got for you tonight, then it's very, very simple. All you need to do is literally signal your intent by dropping me a line. I'll put you into a Facebook group, and that's where all the magic happens. This is where you'll get all the support from myself, from the coaching team, from Charlotte and Jess, and also from other members who are, I guess, in the same boat as you, who want to see great results and maybe have lost their way a little bit, or just want to really tighten everything up and see your training up to the next level. So I'll take you through the specifics of that right at the end. But before we do that, we actually need to have a look at what the actual plans are and what you'll be doing if you decide you want to go ahead and do this and if it's right for you. Before we jump in with the 3 plans, really, if you've been to the gym recently, you've looked up the stairs, we've got the traffic light system. So we're looking at level 1, 2 and 3. And I guess each one of those plans has its own set of outcomes attached to it. But what is true is that many of the people we see come to us because they're in a position where their health is maybe not in the position they want it to be in. They might not like what they see in the mirror, might be worried about their fitness or whatever the reason is. But essentially you might find that actually you're coming from a position of being particularly unhealthy now. That might not apply to you if you're listening to this right now. But at the same time, it might be completely relevant to you. So let me take you through, I guess, what we call level -1. This is where we don't really want any of our clients to be, because there are some health implications to be had from being there. So this is what level -1 looks like. This is really for those people who haven't even started thinking about their health and how they feel, and really what their day-to-day habits might look like, building up to the weeks and the months and the years. Is they'll frequently eat takeout and ready meals, will frequently have treats in between their meals, will hardly ever hydrate themselves, so frequently having less than 1 litre of water a day, or maybe even none, drinking booze on a regular occurrence, and also vegetables and greens don't really feature in their life. In terms of exercise, they exercise less than 3 times a week, or maybe even not at all. In fact, I'm actually going to review this down to 2 times a week, because actually many of us who have busy lives do train a couple of times a week. And do you know what? Actually, that's not bad, in the circumstances, if you are someone who's got a lot of stuff going on. So I'll take you through the specifics later, but just kind of giving you a broad stroke, we're talking somebody who doesn't really exercise very much at all, who is really not getting much sleep in their life and is very, very stressed out. Now, as I explained in the kick-off meeting that we had last night, stress and sleep are a massive, massive deal when it comes to looking after yourself and getting yourself into shape. So it's not to say that if you're someone who has got a lot of stress in your life right now, or if you're somebody who maybe has young children, is finding that sleep is a rare luxury, something that doesn't feature in your life, it's not to say that you can't make some fantastic changes. It just means you need to be aware of what the limitations are and how much of an impact that stress and lack of sleep has on the human body. Now, of course, this is the whole point of the reboot. Myself, Charlotte and Jess are here to support you. But my first port of call would be, if this is where you sit right now, very stressed, not a lot of sleep, then it's definitely worth doing a bit of research and just typing in on Google maybe what are the effects of low sleep and stress on let's say fat loss and health. And if you draw a blank or if you want some direction, then obviously ask me and I'll take you through that. But just need to say it has a massive, massive impact. And for the purpose of this presentation, we'll rattle through it pretty quickly. But if you want more information, then let me know. In terms of the possible or probable outcomes you're going to get if you're somebody who's sat on level 1 right now, you can guarantee that your health is generally going to be not particularly great. You're going to be low on energy. Because of the way the brain responds to poor lifestyle, you might find that actually your mood is low on a regular basis. You have a negative thought pattern. You might find that because of inflammation and just poor recovery, that you are frequently experiencing aches and pains. Generally, you feel unfit, and you might be aware that you just are in generally poor shape. You might not look like what you see in the mirror. Or you might just feel generally that your day-to-day life is being affected by negative health, and of course this all puts you in the risk of disease category, which obviously none of us want to be. So this is we really recommend that everybody gets off of level -1 as quickly as they possibly can. You look at the state of the nation's health. We're all well, not all of us, sorry, but the UK is becoming increasingly obese. And this is because we're sitting right in that category, and obviously none of us want to be there. So let's move it on and see if we can find a solution that's going to work for you guys. So as I said to you, there are 3 plans. We're not forcing anyone to go on to any one plan in particular. The way it works is level 1 is kind of like, I guess, our entry level plan, which is for those who maybe are just dipping their toe in the whole health and fitness arena and want to see some changes starting to take shape, but maybe the idea of jumping onto our, I guess, I don't want to say most advanced, but our more, let's just say, comprehensive plan, level 3, maybe that seems a bit daunting. So the way I would look at level 1 is just for somebody who's you just want to get going and just see a bit of structure to your week and your month, and just feel like you're on your way to getting healthy. Level 2 is something which is probably where we want most of our clients sitting at, and certainly myself and the coaching team tend to sit at level 2 most of the time, beg pardon, not level 1, level 2, which is a bit more sustainable. Still, good enough to see slow and steady progress, but really if you want to really push on results and see something happening pretty quickly, and with the understanding that it's not something which is designed to be sustainable or go on forever, then level 3 is the option for you. So let's have a look at what they look like. So level 1, this is entry level. This is really for those who are just dipping their toe in the water and just want to get things going. So as I say, those who decide to become more health conscious and those who want to see change in their life. Now, what it looks like is that you reduce the amount of maybe ready meals and takeout that you have to, no more than a couple of times a week. You're creating more of an awareness of treats, so I don't know, maybe things like cake or chocolate or sweets or pastries or whatever in between your meals. You're reducing those down to maybe just a couple or few times a week. We're drinking some water, so whilst of course 1 litre isn't necessarily going to be enough to keep you well hydrated, it's certainly better than having nothing. And becoming more aware of alcohol, not saying you avoid it completely, but you're looking to drink it no more than 2 days a week and in moderation. And really just trying to be generally aware that you're having some greens and some veggies. So just trying to start to tighten up on a few of the areas that might feel like they're a bit, I guess, non-existent before. In terms of exercise and lifestyle, again, I'm going to change this down to where it says usually exercise 3 times a week. This is just now where you're looking to just get some exercise into your week. Doesn't matter how much, just some. You're looking to sleep, get more sleep into your life. And again, I've changed the number where it says 6 and 7. I'll take you through the specifics later, but just generally increase how much sleep you get. And just be aware of stress. Just be aware of the source of stress in your life. And in terms of what you'll like to see as a result, you'll like to see some signs of health improvements after a few weeks, and that's the key. It does take time for these things to happen. It's not going to happen immediately. You might start to notice just on the odd day you've got a bit more energy than usual. Fitness is just starting to feel like it's becoming, part of your life, and that things are starting to happen. It's quite hard to, quantify what is a reduced risk of long-term disease, but you're gradually, if you do the right things, then you're going to be moving into the right direction in that respect, although you might not feel it immediately. But this is the key point, I think, is that you're generally feeling more positive about your future health. So you can look at yourself whilst you've done after you've done the 4 weeks of level 1, and you might be able to say to yourself, actually, yes, I feel good. I feel like I've made some changes, and now I'm ready to tackle this and maybe dial it up a notch. For level 2, as I said to you, this is where that I, as a coach, I would really love most of my clients to be sitting at for most of the time. This is more of a sustainable type plan. This is for those who are ready to see results and feel amazing, and looking for a long-term sustainable solution, as I said. Now, the reason this is such a great option to be sitting at most of the time is because if you're generally looking after yourself most of the time, then what it does mean is that if you get to a situation where you've got an event like a holiday or a wedding or something else coming up, it doesn't really take too much to just tighten up, maybe for a few weeks, or even do a reboot, further down the line, and jump onto level 3 where you're really going to see some amazing results. What that looks like is you view takeouts and in between meals, in between treats, as a break from the norm. This is not something that you usually do. You are pretty much every day drinking 2 litres of water. You're limiting your alcohol consumption to once or maybe twice a week in moderation. So typically for most people that would look like the weekend. Pretty good in the week, and then Friday, Saturday, just let your hair down a little bit. Greens and veggies at almost every meal. So in other words, you're having vegetables and greens every single day. We might start looking to take some health-based supplements, and we'll talk about supplements a little bit further down the line later on in this presentation. And then also starting to become a little bit more aware of, I guess, what you're giving your body. So looking to track your calorie intake using MyFitnessPal or something similar, my Daily Plate, or whatever it is that works for you. In terms of exercise and lifestyle, you're looking to exercise probably around about 3 times a week. You are starting to prioritize trying to get 8 hours of sleep in, and then successfully trying to reduce stress wherever possible. And then the key is with somebody who is kind of sitting here most of the time, you want to start looking at maybe regularly putting downtime into your diary, so into your training week. You can't just keep training hard all the time. We have to frequently take some weeks where maybe about 1 in every 4 to 6, depending on who you are and what you're doing. You just need to have a bit of downtime and allow your body time to repair. In terms of what you can expect to see and what the outcomes will be on if you sit on level 2, you're going to see a significant positive, change in overall health. And this is something which it might not happen immediately, but if you keep doing this, you're going to see some good stuff happen. You'll start to have good energy on most days. You'll find that you're better able to deal with setbacks and stressful periods. And again, without going too in depth, when we start looking after ourselves, the part of the brain that is responsible for handling and managing stress is positively affected. So you might notice that, when you're not looking after yourself, not everything, but many things feel like they're a stress. And if you get a setback in life, it feels like it's a big deal. But actually, if you're looking after yourself, you feel good, you feel positive, you're able to see, I guess, things with a bit more clarity. You're able to see them for what they are. So the better we look after ourselves, the better we're able to deal with stress in our life. You're going to start feeling fit, as opposed to fitter than you were before. You actually will feel fit. You'll be able to say, yes, I'm a fit person. And over time, you'll see some positive changes in your physique and generally feel amazing. And then we move on to level 3, and this is where we jump onto this plan with the full understanding that this is not something that's sustainable. It's only for a short period of time, and you're going to really be working towards getting a result for this option. And what I would say is actually, and we'll come on to it again in a little bit, but it's not as scary or as daunting as you might imagine it could be. We had this with the 6-week reboot that we've just finished, and actually the guys who completed level 3 actually were amazed at how easy it was. So I'm going to try and convince you all by the end of this chat that actually level 3 is a great option to go for a short period of time, but we'll delve into that a little bit further down the line. So who is it for? It's for those who are looking for a shorter term project to achieve a specific goal. So it may be that in 4 weeks time you want to shed a number of inches around your stomach or whatever it might be, but you're going into it with the full intention that you don't intend to carry it on forever. In terms of what it looks like, you pretty much say no to takeaways and processed food for the whole of the duration. So all the food that you eat is pretty much made yourself. You know what you're going to be eating, what you're putting into your body. You're going to be drinking over 2 litres of water every day, and ideally bottled or filtered. That's a bit of a contentious subject, but I certainly would prefer to do that than drink tap water in this situation. For the full 4 weeks, you're going to avoid alcohol. I can hear you all gasping right now, but actually it's not as hard as you might think once you commit to the process. Greens and veggies at every single meal that you have, and you monitor and track your nutritional habits. In actual fact, we'll come onto this a bit later when we start talking about the specific strategy that we're going to use on level 3, because actually tracking your calories is maybe not quite so relevant on this plan. As you probably gathered or could probably guess from what I'm saying to you, we've tweaked a few of these things since I had these slides made up in the first instance. So just bear with me, it will all become clear at the end. And then you're likely to be following a tailor-made plan, one of ours or something similar. So as I say, this is a short-term project, not something you're you're going to find that you want to do every single day of your life. In terms of exercise, this is a lot more, full on with your training. So I'm going to ask you to be training 4 to 6 times a week. And that actually includes supplementary short workouts, which will give you to do as homework. You're really going to push to get 8 hours of sleep or more. Managing stress as opposed to just observing it. And then definitely scheduling specific recovery times. Now, the chances are that if you're just doing this for 4 weeks, you're not really going to need to worry about a recovery period during the 4 weeks. It likely is that you'll get to the end of it and then decide to have a back-off week immediately after. The reason that was relevant is because when the guys did 6 weeks, we actually got to level 5 and we did much more of we did a deload week for that week 5, where we worked much more on mobility, breathing techniques, that kind of thing to help with restoration. So in terms of the outcomes that you're likely to see on level 3, you're going to start pushing for excellent health. You're going to have great energy other than maybe some training related fatigue. You should find that you're actually able to deal with stressful periods really well. You'll feel very fit. This is going to push you to another level of fitness that you've never experienced before. And why not? Let's bring that on. And you'll look in excellent shape. And of course, it's all relative. We have to look at where your starting point was. And when I say excellent shape, I'm talking compared to maybe where you were a couple of months ago. This is going to be a big change for you. For those of our clients who have really seen major changes to their physique and their lifestyle and their mindset and all these things, these are the guys who are typically dipping into level 3 on a regular basis, and we'll help them to achieve that. These are the guys who you can see really look like they've got a handle on their health and fitness. And do you know what, guys? There's absolutely no reason why you can't be that person as well. This is where you're dedicated. You're dedicated to the outcome, and it shows everyone can see that you're looking in great shape. But the reason that's come about is because you've worked damn hard at it, and you've made it a priority in your life. So let's move on to the specifics. And as I say, forgive me, some of the details are actually slightly different to the slides you've just seen, but we're working out. So this is what's going to look like for June on this fitness reboot. So here's how you're going to eat and drink. If you can see level 1, 2, and 3 in terms of takeaways. On level 1, no more than twice a week. So reduce those right the way down if that's something which is frequently in your life. Level 2, no more than once a week. So we're looking at just a weekend. And level 3, sorry guys, you need to prepare all your food. In terms of treats in between meals, on level 1, you're maybe reducing all the way down to 2 or 3 times a week. And for many of us, that's a good level of progress. I know some of you guys, when you first come to see us, are every day it's a snack or a chocolate bar or something. So we're going to look to try and turn that down a bit. Again, level 2 only at the weekend. So when you just let your hair down a little bit more. And then level 3 again. Sorry guys, treats are off the menu for the 4 weeks. In terms of hydration, level 1, just get some water in, aiming for at least 1 litre. Level 2, again, we're getting 2 litres in every day. And then level 3, 2.5 litres or more, and ideally bottled or filtered. Ask me more about that if you want to know the reason behind that. But that's not for now. In terms of alcohol, on level 1, drinking no more than a couple of days a week. And I want you to journal that. So you're actually going to keep a diary. Every time you have some alcohol, you're going to record it so you can see for yourself how many units you're drinking each day. On level 2, no more than once a week, and again, journal that. And level 3, you don't need to journal it because actually it's off limits. You're not going to have any at all if you're jumping onto level 3. Greens and veg, level 1, try and increase. Level 2, have them every day. And level 3, at every single meal. And then in terms of lifestyle and exercise, here's how it's going to look. So on level 1, I just want you to do some training every week. It might be once a week. It doesn't matter. You just need to be able to say that you trained every week during your reboot. And again, I'll draw you back to the point I made before. It's very easy as coaches to say you need to be training 3, maybe 4 times a week to get a great result. The result that you're aiming for on level 1 is a lifestyle change, not necessarily a physical outcome, just a lifestyle change. And if you can change yourself from a person who doesn't exercise into somebody who can say, yep, I exercise every week, I go to the gym every week. It might be once, but you know what? Fantastic. That's great progress. Level 2, we're looking at training a minimum of twice a week. And again, arbitrary in terms of whether you're going to get results from that. But again, for many of us, that represents progress. But I would really want you pushing to try and aim for 3 times a week on level 2. And then level 3, you're really going for it. So we're going to have 3 sessions with us at Full Circle and then 1 cardio session. And again, when you see downloads on the Reboot page, which will be included on you'll see details of what that looks like. Sleep, level 1 aim for 6 hours, level 2 aim for 7, level 3 aim for 8. Pretty straightforward there. Stress, I'm going to take you through some breathing exercises, which sounds really corny, and I don't want to stray into using the word of meditation, but very, very simply put, this is something I use frequently with my coaching clients who I work with to reduce anxiety. When we do abdominal breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, it actually shuts down part of the brain that generates anxiety, and this is why it's so effective. And all I'm going to do is ask you to trust me on this one, guys. If you find it a bit of a, one of those ones where you raise your eyebrows slightly, do you know what? Just go with it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, I think. But I've had clients come in to see me when you can see they're pretty much hyper because their stress levels are sky high, anxiety sky high. After doing a couple of minutes of breathing techniques, the world usually changes, become much more chilled out, much more relaxed. So moving to level 2, I want you to become aware of your sources of stress and do some breathing techniques, exercises, beg pardon. So that would actually maybe include journalizing where you feel like your stress is coming from. And when we understand where our stress is originating from, then we always stand a better chance of dealing with it. And then finally on level 3, it's all of those things, but also we're going to do some work to actually reduce and or eliminate that stress. Actually you might be somebody who's pretty chilled out. You might have a pretty stress-free life. If that's the case, then well done. Maybe you could give me some tips. But if that is the case, then obviously you don't need to worry about it. But like I said to you before, guys, stress plays a massive, massive part in terms of health and fitness, to the point where I've actually worked with clients where look, their health isn't fantastic, but actually at that stage I don't really care. What we need to do is try and work on reducing stress as a first port of call. So moving on to some other things. For level 1, 2 and 3, I want everyone avoiding wheat, gluten and sugar. On level 1 and 2, it's the times previously stated. So for example, let's take alcohol. So actually that should read avoid wheat, gluten, sugar and alcohol. Processed food, all those things, all the things we know we should be avoiding if we want to be in great shape and health. Then avoid at the time stated. So I think on level 1 we said you're only going to drink a couple of times at the weekend. So avoid alcohol all other times. All the way up to level 3 where you're just avoiding wheat, gluten, sugar and alcohol pretty much all the time. Level 1, I'd like you to track your calorie intake using MyFitnessPal or something similar. On level 2, all you need to do is drop me a line and I'll set you a I don't want to say target, actually it's not the word I'm looking for. I'm actually looking for let's call it a guideline, just something which you can have a little compare to in terms of I'll ask you some information. I want to know what your training is looking like and what your goals are. I pretty much know what your body type is because obviously I work with all of you closely. And then I'll give you some targets or some numbers to try and compare to what you might be getting on a daily basis. And that's absolutely key. If you're eating too much, then yes, of course, you're going to store body fat. But actually, quality of food is more important, I would probably argue, in the first instance than actually calories. But actually, we had an instance recently with one of our good clients who was just finding that she, had no energy to train on a regular basis, could only manage 2 times a week, even though she wanted to manage more. Was feeling beaten up all the time, no energy, and felt quite emotional. And when we did this exercise, compared the calorie ranges that I'd set out for her versus what she was actually eating, she worked out that she was under eating by she's only getting about half the number of calories in a day that she should have done. Now once she actually fixed that, she lost 4 pounds immediately and just started firing on all cylinders. Has a massive impact. So I think it's a very powerful thing to do, to have a look at where you are in terms of what your calorie intake is like. And many of you are actually going to find that quite surprising, or maybe not, maybe it just would confirm what you might have already known. And then for level 3, we don't even worry about tracking calories because there's another method that we use, which I'll take you through in a moment. But we use special health and fat loss strategies. The one that I'm going to lay out for you today is just one of many, but it's one that actually I've used with great successful clients. It's some of you may deem it's being controversial. You might have had read some bad information about it, but actually, all I would say is, again, it's one of those things where we have to try it, and I want you to put your trust in the process. We put close to 20 guys through this process on our this method on our last reboot, and the results were fantastic. We had some hiccups to start with, but we pretty much managed to fix them. We could see where they were going wrong, and obviously the whole point of the reboot is that we're here to support you guys. So we took the guys through a bit of a kind of a fixing process, and actually after that they flew. And I'm sure you're all dying to find out what this special strategy is, so I'll take you through that in a moment. I'd also like you to take some supplements. Excuse me. So on all levels, I'd like you to take vitamin C and D. On level 2, I'd like you to take those things and a probiotic. And then level 3, I'd like you to take the vitamin C, vitamin D, a probiotic, and also some BCAAs, which are branched chain amino acids. Very quickly, in terms of supplements, look, you could go on and on and on. There are 1,000,001 different things you can take. There'll be 1,000,001 different pieces of information you can read. This is not necessarily something I would stick to every single time. I might rotate supplements. We might try different things. We might try a B complex and some magnesium the next time round. I wouldn't take it all too seriously. It's just something that I found works very, very well, particularly vitamin C and D, and probiotic actually for that matter. Other things on top of that, we want you to do some core and mobility work every single day. I think inherently most people's core is pretty maybe on the weak side, and definitely what is true is that our mobility for most, well no, not most, but a lot of people that we see absolutely sucks. And I know that sounds harsh hearing it out loud, but it just does. We so many of us spend so much of our time sitting down. We get up, we sit and eat breakfast, we drive to work and we sit while we do that. We get to a desk and sit down and we sit and we sit. And the problem with that is it just really messes up our posture. It tightens up muscles. It shuts down some muscles neurally, which should be working when you do certain movements, and it kind of means that actually then we just don't function, and we're tight and we're risking injury. And also just limiting our results. If you can't squat low, then you've got less muscles firing up. Less muscles firing up means that the results you get are not as impressive. So core mobility exercises twice a week on level 1, every other day on level 2, unless you happen to have trained on that day, in which case give yourself the night off. And then on level 3, every single day, maybe unless you've had a heavy lifting session on that day. Some mindset type stuff, and this is just the tip of the iceberg in my opinion, but we'll keep it easy. So level 1, I just want you to write a list of things to be grateful for. The reason being is that often when we have clients come to see us to start with, when their health isn't particularly great, then mindset is also not particularly fantastic. So we can often see a lot of negativity when you're sitting in that stage. So just writing a list of things to be grateful for can just start to open your eyes to actually things are pretty good out there. I want you to can social media after 8:30 on level 2. So many of us just tap away on Facebook and Instagram, whatever it is, and then maybe feel a little bit envious of what we see on there. And it's not great looking at your phone constantly after 8:30. So we're going to wrap that up and can it. And then level 3, pretty much replace social media and TV after 8:30 with some reading. So we're going to do something to relax and or expand your minds while you're on this program. So which plan works best for you? Now, I think that we can often have a bit of an upside down way of viewing this, which is really interesting. So here's how we could choose what plan we want to jump onto. What we could do is look at all of the things that we've just taken you through. So we could look at things like, for example, I can't not drink alcohol for 4 weeks. Let's just freeze that point and focus on it for a moment. Well, every single person pretty much who I have worked with who has gone through this as a committed project, once they've made that commitment and decided it's something they're absolutely going to they're going to commit to, beg pardon, and they're part of a group and they have a support network and accountability. Once you've made that commitment, it hardly ever is a big deal. Now, look, when we went through the 6-week reboot, there were a couple of days where actually the weather was amazing, and you just deal with it. It's really not a big problem at all. So if we jump over the method and actually start looking at the outcomes, let's decide which one of these 4 plans you like the sound of in terms of the outcomes. So let's look at level -1. Everything poor, aches and pains, risk of disease, you're unfit, low energy, poor health, just feel generally like you don't like what you see in the mirror. Now, guys, if that's what you want, then there you go. Stick to level 1. Have takeaways pretty much whenever you want. Eat and drink whatever you want. And there you go. That'll be the outcome. Don't train, and fantastic. If that's what's going to make you happy, then nobody on this planet should judge you for that. But somehow I doubt very much that you want that, because you're listening to this right now, and you probably want to see some big changes in the way you feel and look and think and all these things. So let's start looking at the other options. If you want to just start to see improvements, signs that things in the future could actually be positive, more positive than they are right now, risk your chance of disease, just see a gradual improvement in energy, then great, let's go for level 1. If you want to see a significant change in those things, good energy, feel fit, much fitter than you did, start to see notable positive changes in physique and feel generally fabulous, then let's start looking at level 2. However, if you really want to push it on, if you want to look in excellent shape, if you want to feel very fit, if you want to be someone who can say, I'm dedicated to this outcome, then level 3 is the option for you. Now, when we start looking at it that way, then the method is almost kind of irrelevant. I think that, as I said earlier, we kind of look at it back to front. We look at what we might have to exclude, or we might look at, all the things we're going to have to do to get there. But actually, let's just reframe it. We don't have to do anything. You're in control here, guys. You are the boss of this program. You decide what you do. But if I were you, if I were in your shoes and you want to see these changes happen, again, we had the guys. We had maybe 20 guys came last night. Hopefully, if you're listening to this and you're still awake, then this is something that's important to you. So what I would urge you to do is think about what is the outcome that you're looking for. Now, if you want to see amazing changes to your health, amazing changes to the way your body looks and feels in and out of underwear, if you want to see your jeans or your skirt or your dress or your suit at work fitting better, if you want to see your skin looking much clearer and radiant, if you want people to be saying, wow, look at you, look amazing, then level 3 is definitely the way that you need to be going, I believe. And honestly, it's not as scary as you might think. Now, as I said to you, before you dismiss level 3, and we can often think of these things as level 3, something which is a plan where you're not drinking booze, where you're training regularly in the gym, where you get into bed at a good time at night. You might be thinking out there, this is not something I do. I'm not that person. I'm the kind of person who's always struggled with my nutrition. I find it confusing. I read lots of information on the internet. My friend down the road, she's the person who's fit, or my boss at work, he's fit. I'm not the fit person. I'm not someone who expands my mind. I get home, I sit on the sofa, and I always find it really hard. The only reason you'll be thinking that is because you're generating that yourself. You're making yourself, this is your role, the role you're creating for yourself. But actually, in a drop of a hat, in the click of a finger, you could easily change that thought process. You could go from being that person, the person who flops on the sofa at the end of the day, who has a, let's say in quotation marks, I have a relationship with food. I have an unhealthy relationship with food. I need sugar to get energy. If you're that person, you can change it in an instant. And let me just be very, very clear. The only thing that is going to stop that from happening isn't because you have children, and it's not because money's tight, it's not because you're stressed, and it's not because things at work aren't great, or maybe you're not having a great time with your partner or whatever it might be. None of those are the reason that you're not doing this. The reason you're not doing it is because you have decided for whatever reason you're not going to do it. But the great thing about that is once you realize that, and once you understand that you are limiting that outcome that you could be getting, this wonderful world where you feel fit and strong and healthy and your body doesn't ache and you sleep well and you get up out of bed without feeling like an old person and you go to work and you feel positive. You could be the most positive in the person in the room every single time. You could be the person who's known for having energy all the time and being the can-do person. You can be that person the very moment that you decide that you're going to be. So I'm going to ask you again to think about level 3. Let's think about this, and if you can give me one reason with clarity as to why you can't do this, maybe not now, it might be in the future, or it might even be that you can do level 3 for the whole of the 4 weeks except for maybe one event. If you can find that reason, then I'm really interested. I'd love to know what it is. Drop me a line and let me know what it is. But if you want all those things that we've described, then guys, this is what we're here to do. We're here to help you. We're here, myself, Jess, Charlotte, the other members, we're going to work together as a team. We're all in it together. So I can't really think of any better time for you guys to jump on and really see massive changes to your health and fitness. Just to help that decision along, I've just lifted some comments on the actual method itself. So this is the idea of jumping onto level 3. Many of the guys who just did the reboot were really, really unsure, and I actually challenged them in the way that I've just laid down the gauntlet to you guys. So give me one reason why you can't do it. And as I say, we had, I think it was about 20 people, and here are some of the things they were saying on actually how easy it was to follow level 3. Something I thought I would struggle with, but so easy to grasp and control. This is Mikey. Go and chat to him in the gym, find out what his experience was. Try it, people. Seriously, I thought I would die or faint or kill someone if I strained from my long-held ideas of what I should be eating and how often. But instead, it feels like I've discovered how to eat when I'm hungry, and some habits which I'll keep beyond the 6 weeks. That was Nicola. Again, go and chat to her, find out what she thought to the process. Incidentally, she didn't faint or die or kill anyone. I don't think, anyway. Following the clean eating was so easy. I've gotten to the point where my body is starting to tell me what I need. I've learned good habits now, which I will definitely be carrying on to the 6-week challenge, and highly recommend this to everyone. This is Vicky. Again, go and chat to her, find out what her experience was. But of course, if you do level 3, you want to know what you're going to be getting out of it. Now, the only caveat I would say to this is some of the guys who jumped onto level 3 for the 6 weeks, there was a bit of a kind of a stutter and a start on probably about 3 of the guys and girls who did this, and we just had to do a bit of tweaking and offer some support and help and make some changes, and then things changed and they were flying. But my point is that if you're doing 4 weeks, if for whatever reason it's not working or not happening for the first couple of weeks, then this is where we'll help you out, but it probably then only leaves you with 2 weeks at the end. But do you know what? You've learned something that you can then take forward to the next reboot you do. Let's have a look at the results. I've lost 3 kilograms in 4 weeks and centimeters off my fat bits. Next, I've lost 3 kilograms in weight. I'm mentally clearer. Here I am, 5 weeks feeling stronger, fitter, healthier, and leaner than ever. Let me just say that again, leaner than ever. That's a pretty good outcome, I would suggest. Lumps and bumps are starting to disappear and muscles appearing. This is in 6 weeks, a weight loss of 6.5 kilograms and overall size loss of 27 centimeters. Weight doesn't mean everything, incidentally, guys, but it's an indication when combined with everything else. Weight loss of 5 kilograms, stomach loss of 7 centimeters. So much love and appreciation for everyone in the group. Proud of everything that everyone has achieved. That's amazing. And finally, I'll let you guess who this could be from. Well, team, results are in from the Irish jury. 24.4 centimeters lost in total. 3 kilograms of fat gone. Lots more muscle tone. As my results seem to have started to kick in, I'm going to keep it up. Do you know what? If that isn't enough to make you want to carry on doing this or have it a go, then I don't know what it is. Guys, let's listen to what we're hearing right now. The results are astounding. Absolutely fantastic. Amazing. And actually, the guys who did it, they really enjoyed the process. It wasn't a chore. Yeah, of course, there were, maybe the odd day or afternoon or whatever where they, wanted to have a glass of wine or whatever it might be. But for the large part, out of all the people that we did this project with, I think pretty much everyone saw amazing results. I can't think of a single person who didn't see fantastic stuff happening. And some of them, the results we saw were actually, jaw-dropping. It was amazing. So let me take you through what the special strategy is on level 3. It is, in fact, intermittent fasting. So you're probably asking the question, what is intermittent fasting? Well, let me tell you right now. What it is, and the caveat is, you have to eat healthily. Intermittent fasting when you're not eating well is not a really good idea because of the way your blood sugars are up and down. But essentially what intermittent fasting is where you, or the method anyway that I like to use, is that you have a window where you eat in the day, and it's typically 8 to maybe 9 hours. And then for the rest of the 24-hour period, about 15 or 16 hours, you don't eat anything. Now, of course, that sounds like it's really scary, and you're going to have some questions in terms of things like energy. But just again, let me be really clear. Everyone who did this had not less energy, but bags more, much more. The reason why intermittent fasting works really, really well is because after a certain amount of time, after you've digested food, your body uses up all the nutrients it needs and what it can take out of the food. And then you obviously pass the food. And then after a while, what happens is you start to feel hungry. And at that point, we typically then chuck some more food in. But once we've finished our window, we then stop. And then what happens is after a while, simply put, your body kind of says, right, I'm not getting any energy from food. So what can I do to create energy? And that's when we start to metabolize fat. And we tap into our fat reserves. And this is why it's such a great thing. you're using that fat for energy and you're burning fat at the same time, which is a massive plus. There's also some other side benefits, like for example, my eating window. I started eating at lunchtime and finished, kind of mid to late evening, and it meant that I didn't have to worry about breakfast. And actually, I really enjoyed having the extra time. It felt really good. You might have heard that you need, let's say here the question, don't I need 3 meals a day to stop my metabolism slowing down? It's kind of not true. If again, much of what we read to do with health and fitness, and particularly nutrition, is maybe slightly skewed science. Now, yes, of course, if you were to eat nothing for days and days on end, your metabolism is going to start to slow down. But it just doesn't. It doesn't slow down after missing one meal. And again, I can vouch for it. We saw 20 guys who went through the reboot, all with energy that was flying once we got over a few hiccups. And myself, my energy was fantastic. So if energy is a good indicator of metabolism, then actually there was no issue with metabolism whatsoever. I've already answered the question about energy, but what about energy during training? Well, just to make it clear, my eating window tend to open at about 12 o'clock in the day and finish, like I say, about 8 or maybe 9 o'clock. I had a number of training sessions which started at 8:45. Myself and Jess trained a number of times with Sebastian, and that's 15 minutes away from my eating window. So I pretty much push my eating window back by an hour every now and then accidentally. My training energy was amazing. I would argue it was better than if I'd eaten food. I won't bore you with the details about things like using up energy for digestion and so on and so forth, but it just was good. Will you burn up lean mass? I don't believe so. In terms of processes that occur and breakdown of lean mass and muscle, these things they're kind of happening on a low level all the time. We metabolize fat and we break down muscle and so on and so forth. But if you look at the bigger picture, are you going to burn up so much lean mass that it becomes detrimental in terms of physique and performance? You just won't. The human body is designed to survive. Mammals are designed to survive, and we'll start utilizing fat reserves first before we go to muscle. So you're not going to find that you burn up loads and loads of lean mass. And also, one of the reasons I recommend taking branched chain amino acids or BCAAs before and during your workout is it also helps to preserve lean mass. So the answer is just no. I noticed absolutely no lean mass breakdown, and actually, in actual fact, Natalie, who tracked her progress, actually noticed she increased lean mass over the 6 weeks. This is where your opportunity to ask any questions on intermittent fasting. Obviously, we're not in a presentation situation right now where you're physically here, but if you've got any questions, then just drop me a line and I'll happily answer them. And then what happens now? Well, all you have to do is quietly decide which plan you want to join. Go for level 3. But all joking aside, decide which one you think you're going to succeed at. If you think you want something that's a little bit more, kind of involved in level 2, but you don't think you can fully commit to level 3, then we'll have a chat. I'll work with you and help you maybe work out kind of like a tweaked version of level 3. It might mean you need an evening off somewhere because there's an event or whatever, but it'll work very well. Then what we do is I've created a closed Facebook group, so then we add you into that, and pretty much straight away. So that's where you'll find all of the any recipe ideas and all the downloads for the individual plans and all the mobility and core homework and all those things. That's where that'll be. And this is where I'll chuck in some tasks every now and then, or a bit of banter, or just some interesting facts, or other members might post with whatever it might be that day, maybe some recipe ideas. We had some ridiculous stuff going on the last group. It was really good fun, very, very funny. But also the other thing is, and look, I'll give this to you, warts and all. A couple of times we had members posting just saying, shit, I'm struggling. I'm not feeling that particularly amazing right now. Help me out. And that's kind of like where we can help you out with support. So if that was the case, then you post up there, and guess what? We'll all jump on and help you out. And it gives me an opportunity to help you if something's going wrong, and help guide and make changes wherever necessary. What we ask you to do is donate £15 to beating bowel cancer, and the reason that's so important, well, it's twofold. I mean, why not do something good? Beating bowel cancer is obviously a great cause. We raised £400 last time on the previous 6-week reboot. But what it also does is it makes it real. So if you put money down, money where your mouth is, I would challenge any of you to not be able to afford 15 quid, particularly as you're going to be saving a shitload of money when you do this plan. It makes it real. And what we then say is, look, if you fall off the wagon, if you said you're going to have no alcohol for 4 weeks and you do, then what we're going to ask you to do is be honest. I'm going to ask you to check in every day. I'll put a post up just saying, look, how's everyone getting on? All you need to do is just type the words in or on, or if you've fallen off track, man or woman down. And if that happens, then what we're going to ask you to do is to then increase that donation by 35 quid, so £50 in total. Now, you might be raising your eyebrow thinking, shit, that's a lot of money. But do you know what? If you intend to do this and do it properly, then guys, there'll be no problem. And then I'm going to ask you to announce your arrival. So once we've included you onto that group, I just want you to just say something. Just say, hi, I'm here, or post a stupid picture. It doesn't really matter, but just announce to everyone that you're on the group. And then await further instructions. So as it stands right now, so we're sitting on, what day is it? It's Tuesday evening. I have opened the group. We've got some members on there now. I've put the link to the Just Giving page to make your donation. And pretty much now I'll be engaging with the group every day, but by the end of this week there'll be the specific details for each and every plan, plus your mobility drills. They'll get updated each week. What we found is with the previous group is that we just had one set that I intended to just do for the 6 weeks, but that was an oversight on my part. Everyone got bored rigid after a couple of weeks, so we'll change those every week, so you're not falling asleep as you're doing them. And obviously you're not here with me right now, but questions. If you've got any questions, then let me know. And that really sums it up. This is pretty much everything I think you need to know. So thank you. Thanks for listening. And what I would say is let's make it real. So guys, look, this is your chance to really make a massive change. If you're going to do this, you'll be part of a team. Everyone's going to help each other out. I'll be here to support you. And all I would say is, guys, you are capable of doing much more than you think you might be able to when it comes to your health and fitness. So guys, I'm really excited for this. I'm really keen. I want to help you see amazing results. And this is it. So let me know what you want to do. And then pretty much we're at the end of a Facebook message or a phone call or whatever you need. And I'll look forward to helping you out. Thanks for listening, guys, and I'll speak to you soon.